What's up, guys? This is Darren Wood with House of Fly. Today we're going to tie the Bob Clouser. Alright, so we're going to start by lashing in the eyes or tying the eyes on. These are Fly Project Squatchy Dumbbell brass eyes in size 4mm. A good rule of thumb to find out where you want to put your eyes, just kind of measure, put your dumbbells in the eye of the hook, and just roughly estimate, you know, the end of the eye is kind of where I'm going to put that thread at. So alright, so go ahead and start your thread behind the eye and work it back. Again, we're going to measure those eyes and see where we're at. And that looks about good. Cover that tag in, come back. We're going to build a little bit of a bump there to hold the eyes. If you guys have watched Sam's previous video, he kind of goes over the, I think it was top 4 tips and tricks for tying the Clouser. We're going to lash in the eyes using those tips and tricks. So I'm kind of cross-wrapping these eyes on to lash them down and kind of balance them out. At this point, I kind of like to look, go to the side, make sure that my vise is sitting straight up and down, and that my eyes are perpendicular to the hook. This is going to allow for the fly to kind of be balanced as you're retrieving it. I like to fish this fly quick and fast with quick little strips. So, all right, once I got that nice and tight, I'm going to take some, just any old good super glue. This is Loctite. Just take a little dab. Take your bodkin and just kind of smooth that out. Move that glue around. Take a couple more wraps. All right, stop your thread kind of behind the eyes, and we're gonna get ourselves a nice chunk of this blue fox. Alright, so with this blue fox, you don't need a ton of it. I would say I got about a little less than kind of a pencil width, if you will. And what I'm doing is kind of grabbing the long fibers, pulling them out, and aligning them with kind of the medium fibers in this Arctic fox. What I like to do here is kind of measure the length of the hook, find out where that spot is, switch hands, and then move that spot to the back of the hook. And then I'm going to lash that down right behind the eyes. Okay, take 4 or 5 wraps behind the eyes, fold that fur over the eyes and jump in front of the eyes, and continue to lash that down. You don't have to be generous with your wraps here, just do as many as you want, really. We got plenty of room in front of that, in front of those eyes. Okay, clean up those tag ends, jump behind the eyes, And this is where I like to add kind of a pattern. I'll kind of do spiral wraps, open spiral wraps, back towards the bend of the hook. I like to do about 4. I'll take 2 straight wraps and then do open spiral wraps back. That kind of gives it a nice little scaly look. Okay. Now we can tie in the throat. We're going to use red colored blue fox. You don't need as much here. You could really, less is more in this situation. All right, for this one, the throat, I like to measure it kind of back to the bend of the hook, and we're just going to leave it in place here. I'm going to switch hands, pinch it. Combat my wraps there. Again, jump behind the eyes, make 2 or 3 wraps, and then back in front of the eyes. Really, we're just looking for a little hot spot. Cut those off. Clean up my tag ends again. This is kind of building a taper for that head too. All right. Now we're going to add a little bit of flash. Now we're going to add a little bit of flash. This is Hedron Flashabou lateral scale. It's the pearl kind that's dyed. I believe this is red. But any color, you can kind of experiment with colors. And with this flash, you want it just a little bit longer than your tail. I like to kind of split the hook with this flash. Get some on the left, some on the right. Sweep it back. Looking good. Okay, now we're gonna get more blue fox. This time in brown, and this is going to finish off the fly. We're going to put a nice, kind of the same amount of fox that we did for the tail, maybe a little bit more. Again, we're going to kind of pull out those long fibers and line them up with the shorter fibers or medium length fibers to get a nice even wing. Okay, and I like to measure this about the same length as my tail, maybe a little bit shorter. I'm going to capture that. And then at this point, I'm going to cut this off at an angle so that I have a nice taper for my head. All right. Go ahead and wrap that up. Cover those tag ends. We're going to whip finish. There it is. You can add a little bit of UV resin to kind of finish off the front of that fly. This here is Solar Res Bone Dry. We just loaded Raid Zap in thin, and that's very similar to this Bone Dry. I just grabbed this because that's what I had. But that's available at House of Fly, along with all the materials that you see here to tie this fly.
All right, tell us about this little Clouser.
Yeah, all right. So this is just a variation of Bob Clouser's Clouser minnow. And what I've done is tied a little throat on it, a little red hot spot. This is one of my favorite flies for like springtime, fall, when you have that transition between summer and winter, or you know, winter and spring, or fall and winter. So anytime that the water temp or the air temp comes up and you know, it's like 60 degrees out, I like to put this thing on and kind of target hungry trout that are looking for an easy meal. So
Why do you tie it in brown and yellow?
ooh, why do I tie it in brown and yellow? I don't really know. I don't know. What?
How'd you come up with the profile of this fly?
The profile. I don't know. I was just kind of going off of Bob Clouser. How can I answer that?
What made you first start tying it?
Because it kind of looked like the flashing graph? No. I don't know.